Hello, elf friends. This is a video I'm making because I did a little bit of remote viewing or future timeline scanning, and it wasn't really something I did on purpose. It just kind of happened spontaneously. And a lot of times when these things happen, I see things and they do come true. Sometimes I get these things in dreams. Sometimes I get them like this, where I'm meditating and thinking about things, and future events do kind of pop up, things I'm not expecting. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's about disasters, bad incidents, things like that, unfortunate things. But anyway, last night while I was kind of doing my meditation, just relaxing, I saw a fire. And this isn't the first time I've seen this. I keep seeing it. I keep seeing these conflagrations, these terrible fires, to the point that I've been fearful about my own life. Like, is this something that I need to worry about? And I've tried to take some precautions around my home, but I really don't think it's me. I don't think it's my life that's being reflected here. When every year I do meditations on, I scan the timeline, the future timeline, and kind of do readings to see what's going to happen in the United States. What trends do I need to be thinking about that might be happening here to us? And I don't know when it was. It was a year or two ago. I did do one, and I got a pretty interesting message. I actually did this in January of 2024. And when I got to this part of the reading, it talked about a several year span. It wasn't just for the year of 2024. It was 2024 through around 2027, I believe. Anyway, one of the messages I got is that California is on fire, Oregon cracks, and Washington floods. Now, I did get that January 2nd of 2024, and so far, California then had the terrible fires in Malibu and in the other areas, which were considered unprecedented. They were horrific fires. So many people, Pacific Palisades was destroyed. And now, of course, just recently, we've had these horrible floods in Washington that I believe they are also unprecedented. So I'm not going to say, oh, I called this, I predicted this, I'm so correct. It's not about that. It's about, these messages are coming to me. I'm not always looking for them, but they're coming to me. So I feel like I need to talk about it, to warn people to take precautions. That message was interesting. California has had the terrible fires. Washington has had the floods, but what's up with Oregon? I don't know what this means, Oregon cracks. Is this seismic activity? Is it earthquakes? Is it a political crack? There is a campaign to split up Oregon. I believe it's called the Greater Idaho Project. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a political movement to take some of the counties in Oregon and join Idaho because they don't like Oregon's politics. So, I mean, that too is a crack. I don't know what this means, but honestly, this crack feels more physical. It feels more weather related or geographical. So, I don't know how seismic activity would affect Oregon. Haven't really thought about it, but this was in 2024. So two of those things at least have come true, unfortunately. Um, and now I'm thinking about fires again, really, really bad. And last night, the imagery that I got was, there were trees involved. Like, you see California, and you have these wildfires hit the canyon areas, and you see all these trees and all this wilderness on fire. But there are towns within it, and they are, severely affected. This situation, I did see a lot of trees. I saw, the wildfire type scenario with lots of foliage and trees, but I also did see roads, and I saw city lights very close to this situation. And it seemed to be very bad. I saw street signs burning. I saw buildings burning, possibly blocks of buildings burning, which might mean like a little downtown area, or perhaps it's a little commercial strip. I don't know, but I did see this. And Oregon seems to be involved in this as well. So I don't, or there could be multiple locations. I heard something in my head about seven canyons. Now, I went after I had this and I looked this up, and there are a few different references to seven canyons. There's some resort called Seven Canyons, I believe. It might be in Arizona. It's like a golf course. And then California has something called Seven Canyons. I believe it's also some sort of, I don't want to call it a business, but some sort of place, not necessarily a region that you call Seven Canyons. But then I saw references to areas that people talked about the seven canyons. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this. Sometimes these messages, it isn't always completely spelled out for you. But, suffice it to say, I've been getting these messages about the Pacific West Coast and California for a long, long time, that there is a lot of potential problems there. I can't even, in this small little video I'm going to make, I couldn't even talk about all the different messages. There's been so many. I've been getting them all the way since I believe it was the early 1990s. I get them in dreams. I had a dream about this tremendous flooding going on in the Pacific Northwest. It seemed to be the Oregon, Washington area of California, and it was tremendous to the point that I saw trees toppling and bridges collapsing with this water. And I don't know what it means, but that was decades ago that I got that. And I don't have a connection to this region of the country. I don't live there. I don't have a lot of relatives out there. So I'm not sure why it's always coming to me, but it must be important if it keeps coming to me. And last night, what I saw bothered me enough that I felt like I wanted to make a video. My channel is just beginning. I don't think I have a lot of people seeing what I say, but I am going to put it out there for anybody who does see who happens to see it, that if you live in the California, Oregon area, particularly right now, have an escape plan if they start to give warnings about fires, or if the issues start to come up with the droughts and the winds or anything that happens. Take all the precautions that you can. Have a getaway plan. Don't just wait for them to tell you to evacuate, at the last minute. If you have animals, have a place for those animals to go, particularly horses. If you have horses, do not wait until, the alarms are going off and people are fleeing en masse and now you're all blocked on the roads. If you have horses or other livestock or other pets and animals, get them out of there before you leave. Find a way to have a place to take them inland or away from these, fire prone areas, and get your animals to safety with ample time, and do it before you even really think it's an emergency, because by the time you think it's an emergency, it'll probably be too late, and you don't want to have to live with that. And for yourself as well, it could be too late for you. But this, take every precaution that you can. I think what the most important thing for me to say is, don't wait. Don't just think it's going to pass you by, or they're going to be able to put it out and you'll be fine and you can stay in your house, or you can stay close to your house or whatever, or you can stay in this area where you can see orange, so many miles in the distance, but you don't think it's close enough to you. Well, just go ahead and leave. Go ahead and pack your stuff and leave. I just see these horrible fires coming, and it's just, this is the first time that I keep seeing it and it keeps happening, or I keep dreaming about it and it keeps happening. So I just want to put this out that if anybody hears this, you know, your gut instinct is going to tell you, get the hell out. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's an emergency. And if have a false start, like if you leave and it turned out that, oh, they were able to put this fire out 3 miles away from my house, or 10 miles. I didn't need to leave. Well, fine. That's fine. You took a little trip somewhere, you got your animals out of there, and it happened that, your area wasn't burned, and that's great. But that doesn't mean the next time it's not going to. Okay. You may have one of these situations where it's a small disturbance the first time, and then the next time it isn't. So, you should plan every time that you start to have these potential emergencies that you are going to get out of your house, get out of their area, go somewhere else, and you're going to find a place for your animals to go before it becomes an emergency. I just want everybody from the California, Oregon, even Washington, but I'm thinking more California and Oregon. Just do what you need to do and don't worry about that you spent a few hundred extra dollars or you lost some money at work. Save your life and save your animals' lives. When I had this vision last night about these fires, I tried to get as much information as I could. I didn't feel totally confident with all of it. The only thing I really felt confident was there was a fire, there was, an area of, canyons and trees, but there is also cities and towns in its path. And there were things built by people and people's homes or buildings that were burning. That I'm 100% sure of. Um, and I did hear that some of this is strange, came from the heavens. So you can think of a lot of reasons or ways that something can come from the sky. It could be a meteorite, it could be lightning, it could be a weapon, it could be something dropped from, a plane. I don't know. It could be a weapon, it could be a directed energy weapon. But that's what I heard. It came from the sky, it came from the heavens. So that's my message about that. I've felt this for a long, long time. Um, And I just want to get this out there for anybody who lives in this region. I'm not trying to be a doomsayer or to scare anyone to death, but I've gotten many messages about potential earthquakes. We've talked about earthquakes since before I was born in this region, but it seems to me that this may be the time that some of them do happen. And for some reason, I really do feeling the Oregon coast, the Pacific coast is a real problem. And I don't know if it's from waves, I don't know if it's from seismic activity or what, but this is just an area that if you live there, you need to kind of you know, have your escape bag packed, your backpacks with your medicines and your documents and things of that. Have these things ready that if you need to evacuate, that you can grab your backpack, grab your pets, and you've got their food and medicine and get out. That's all I'm going to say about that. And thanks for watching. And if you like this channel, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.